So hey guys, you are all welcome to this video on excavation safety. So here I'm gonna discuss about the three important details related to excavation safety. So let's proceed. So to start the excavation, we should be aware about the what legal requirements are applicable to the excavation. So the first legal activity comes, which is related to the Act and Rules, BOCW Act 1996 and the Central Rules 1998 state. So what is there related to excavation that? So that clear out about the 13 key requirements that we need to follow before starting the excavation activity. So which are notification of the intention to carry out excavation and turning work, section 40 which says about the project engineer and responsible person, warning signs and notices, register of employees etc., elimination required and stability of structure, piling, shoring and bracing, safe access, trenches, clearance, rest shelters. So basically the overview of is what, like in BOCW rules which says that before starting of excavation you need to fulfill these key requirements, and all the requirements or the required forms need to be prepared and documented properly, and if required need to be submitted to the government authorities. And if we go for the IS code, then the IS 3764, which is for excavation work code of safety, which is applicable for the excavation. In that IS 2314 is there for steel sheet piling section, and IS 3696 is for the scaffolding and ladders, and IS 4081 is there for the safety code of blasting and relating drilling. Before of that, if we're gonna start about the excavation, we should take some initial approvals for the same. Like if we are gonna starting the excavation activity into the particular state, I'm talking about the Haryana, then we need to take out the approval from the government authorities or the mining authorities, and the legal rule is there for that is Haryana Minor Mineral and Concession Stocking, Transportation of Mineral and Prevention of Legal Mining Rules 2012. So in that, what is that says is like where it is applicable. So overall, excavation of brick earth, ordinary clay up to a depth of 1.5 meter from the adjoining ground level. So that is the basic idea. If we are gonna do the excavation more than 1.5 meter, then we have to take the permission from the mining authorities, and it has the crisp details and the detailed description about the excavation requirements where we need to take the mining authorities approval. That is like the breaking of land of the laying of the foundation or basement or individual house and other establishments or the plots up to the 500 square yards involving excavation of the ordinary earth only, breaking of land only for laying the foundation of individual houses or small establishment or plots up of the 500 square yards. So, and the last one is the 1.5 meter. So for that we need to take the mining approval. And if we discuss about the excavation hazard and control measures, we should have a take measures about like what are the key hazards are applicable into the excavation and what are the control measures required to mitigate or bring down that risk level up to the acceptable limit. So if we talk about the first hazard, that one is the underground utilities. So what comes in the underground utilities are that may be the pressurized lines, electrical lines and the gas lines. Second, this is the image for that, right? If I talk about the hazardous event, so what is going to happen if that hazard or someone comes into that hazard or somebody got exposed with that hazard, then the hazardous event will occur. And the hazardous event may be like contact with utilities and the bursting of the pressurized water sewer lines and the contact with electricity cable and electrocution. And the third maybe one is leakage of gas lines. And what the control measures to mitigate these hazards are, the first one is excavation clearance work permit system to be followed. One is use of the cable detector or utilities detector. Third one is trial pits shall be made before the excavation. Person provided with mandatory PPEs. Refer the IS code 3764 applies for excavation more than 1.5 meter depth only. And the one is IS 4081, which says about the safety code for blasting and related drilling works, which we need to refer if we are going for that. And drilling and blasting operation should be encounter safety precautions as laid down in the 4081. So that depends if we are going to do the blasting or the drilling or the related works into the excavation. We talk about the next thing is see about the hazards and the control measures what we have put here. This is one. And the excavation hazard, if we talk about the next one is that is harmful gases and fumes in the confined space. What would be the hazardous event for that? The exposure of workmen to harmful gases, and the control measures would be where gases and fumes are likely to be present in a trench or ditch, show their presence therein. Sufficient mechanical ventilation to protect the health and safety of the person working there shall be provided. Multi-gas detector shall be used to check the concentration of the oxygen, carbon monoxide, CO2, H2S or nitrogen oxide. Air shall be considered unfit for the workmen to breathe it in, contain any of the following. So less than 19% of the oxygen by volume, more than 1% of the carbon dioxide by volume, more than 0.01% of the carbon monoxide by volume, more than 0.002% of hydrogen sulfide by gas of volume, more than 0.002% of the nitrous oxide by volume. So if we talk about the next hazard, that could be a slippery or uneven excavation, ground watering or logging. And here we have seen the images we are able to see here, and the hazardous event could be a person may trip, slip and fall down on the same level. These are the images for that. And the control measures, if we talk about the regular dewatering required to maintain the slippery free surface, and the sludge and the other slurries removal in frequent basis, and sludges and other slurries removal in frequent basis. Separate pedestrian waste shall be made inside the mass excavation area, and person provided with the mandatory PPE. So these are the images which we can see here, right? And here we comes with the third specific hazard, that is loose earth and material at the edge of the excavation. So here you can see the pictures, and what could be the hazardous event with that? The fall of loose soil and material into the excavation pit. So the loose soil may fall into the excavation pit, that is the hazardous event with that. And what need to be the control measures for that is excavation earth and loose material shall be stacked 2 meters away from the edge of the excavation. Excavation hazard is vertical cut or improper slope of the excavated soil wall. You can see the image, like if the vertical cut happens and the improper slope of the excavation is given, then what could be the hazardous event is? That is collapse of the definitely. If the poor slope is there, vertical cut is there, definitely the soil gonna collapse there. Collapse of the adjacent structure. If nearby adjacent structure is there and which is associated with that excavation area, and definitely if that gate collapse, then definitely that adjacent structure may be affected with it. So you can see the image. In this images, like the adjacent structure has been shown in that, and with that you can see if that gets collapsed, then definitely that adjacent structure also might be affected with it. What should be the control measures to avoid such kind of hazards is the adequate slope, benching or the excavation wall to be maintained as per the type of soil. So we have some kind of special type of soils like A, B, C kind of soils. So according to the soil type, we need to provide the benching and the sloping for the excavated slopes. And approval from the structure consultant required for the excavation. The third one is shoring sheet piling etc. to be done as per the structure consultant approval from Ministry of Coal and Mines under the Haryana mining rules, wherein up to 500 square yard 1.5 meter in either case no approval is required. So definitely if you are going to have the excavation more than 1.5 meter, then we need to take the approval from the related state government authorities. Next hazard is soil caving. So if the soil is not, or the excavation soil or the wall is not excavated properly, and we have not understood of what kind of the soil is, then definitely soil caving chances are huge. So what could happen with that? Collapse of the soil, definitely. You can see the image with that. With the control measures to avoid the particular hazard is adequate benching and slope we need to maintain. And if required, then we need to provide the shoring as per given the instructions of the structural consultant. This is the image. What is next is we have vehicle movements. So that is the next kind of hazard, vehicle movement. So definitely in construction or the excavation we have the mobilized vehicle, and vehicles keep on moving here and there during the excavation. So what could be the hazardous event with that? Hit by vehicle, collapse of vehicle, or fall in excavation pit. So these are the images that may happen. And what could be the control measures for that? The unauthorized entry shall be restricted in vehicle movement area. Yes. And the flagman shall be provided, competent driver shall be provided, reverse horn and other safety devices equipped in vehicle and functional. Hard barricading to be provided at the edge of the excavation. Vehicle to be parked at 1 or 2 meters away from the excavation. So these are the measures how we can refer to them and we can implement. The next hazard is the dust. Of course, when we are proceeding or doing the excavation, dust is exposed, or dust is the major hazard which we are going to expose with it, right? And what could be the hazardous event with that is inhalation of the dust, and we have we could get the health effects with that or the ill health. And the control measures to avoid such kind of hazard is regular water sprinkling to avoid controlled dust exposure, provision of dust masks to the workmen. And what is the next hazard is open excavated edges. If we left the excavated edges without any protection, then definitely somebody may fall in that excavation. So here are the images. What could be the hazardous event is fall of the vehicle, of course, fall of the person and the material. If it is open excavated edges, then that may fall. So what we need to do to avoid such kind of hazard is hard barricading shall be provided for excavation, the top rail, mid rail and toe board. Cautionary hazard warning signs is to be displayed. That is improper access for the men and the equipment. If the access is not given properly, then what could happen or rise is fall of the person, toppling of the excavator or the dumper. What could be the control measures to avoid such kind of hazard is adequate ladder or the steps or staircase shall be provided for adequate access. Next, ramp or slope shall be maintained for safe movement of the excavator. What could be the third one is excavation shall have at least one ladder per 1.5 meter of the length of the fraction length in case of hazardous work, and per 30 meter of the length or fraction thereof in case of relatively less hazardous work. So what does it see is, if we have the hazardous work, then we need to put at 30 meter distance we need the ladders, and if not it's hazardous, then 30 meter we can put, and if it is hazardous, then we need to put 1.5 meter of length that the ladders. And what is next is ladders shall be constructed, used and maintained inspection in accordance with the requirement laid down in IS 3696. So at least one ladder per 1.5 meter of length of fraction thereof case of hazardous work, and 30 meter of length, fraction of thereof in case of relatively less hazardous work. So if we talk about the next hazard, that one is vehicle movement on the excavation axis. What could be the hazardous events for that? That is collapse of soil due to vibration and load and fall of vehicle inside the pit. You can see the image here. So what we need to have in control measures is vehicle shall be kept away from the excavation edges, prevent soil vibration or fall of vehicle. And the next one is hard barricading shall be provided at least 1.5 meter away from the excavated edges. What is the next is unguarded vehicles movement parts. So if the vehicle is not provided with the guards, like the movement part of the vehicles without the guards, then what could happen is contact with vehicle movement parts. So anybody can come in exposure to with that movement parts of the vehicle. What could happen is all moving parts of the vehicle shall be guarded. Vehicle shall be allowed after inspection only. So he's talk about the next hazard, which is unauthorized operation of the vehicle. So if the authorized person are not operating the vehicle, what could happen is by vehicle, and what the control measure would be is authorized competent operator with driving license should be provided, speed limit sign to be displayed. So you can see next is soil overloading in the dumper. Definitely we can see like in the excavation most of the places like the dumpers are being overloaded, and what could happen with that is fall of overloaded soil on the ground or the moving person, topping of the vehicle. So what are the control measures you need to take? So overloading of the soil shall be prohibited. Competent supervision shall be done during soil loading. Talk about the next is poor illumination. So due to poor illumination, what could may happen is fall in excavation. And what we need to have in control measures is adequate adequate area illumination shall be maintained. Adequate reflective PPEs to jacket shall be provided for visibility. Barricade radium lights you need to put. And the next one is hazard is unauthorized visitor movement. So if unauthorized unauthorized visitor movement found in the construction, then definitely they are unaware about the hazards. So what may happen is they may fall into the excavation pit and hit by the vehicles. So what we need to have in the control measures are gate entry controls by security to be taken place very strictly, and site fencing made of 5 meter height, so nobody can enter into the site without the permission. So the noise is the next hazard into the excavation. So with that, what the hazardous event may happen is hearing deficiencies, right? And control measures, use of the earplugs for the person deployed in excavation workers, operator and helper in the worker who is being deployed. Talk about the next hazard, that one is the monsoon. Excavation is kept open for many days. The waterlogging chances are huge. Hazardous event will be drowning of the workmen. Insects, creatures in the water, slippery surface or falling parts, wires or dewatering motors. So what we have to have in the control measures are sufficient dewatering pump readily available at all times should be there at the present site, and the movement of the person restricted until the water is drained out. Adequate access with all required PPEs and gum boots is required. All electrical connections are insulated properly and routed to RCC. We talk about the next hazard, which one is related to the insects that may be available into the excavation due to that waterlogging or due to that climate conditions. So the hazardous event is insect bite, snake bite, etc. So the control measures should be the repellents, drainage or spraying of breeding areas, burning or destruction of nests, use of smudge pots for protecting small areas, elimination of unsanitary conditions which propagate insects or vermicompost, vermins, uh, uh, exterminations either against rodents, fumigation, or inoculation. And the next hazard could be is lone workers. And hazardous event will be fall inside the excavation, unconscious inside excavation. So in control measures, you need to have the adequate full-time supervision at the